TGR News, broadcasting from the State of Israel.
Welcome back to TGR News.
Shalom, shalom from Israel.
Well, we've had a busy week.
Oh boy, it's been something else.
And we put out about 6 news updates this week as well, so you guys should be pretty well up to date.
One of the things that I'm sure you've probably already heard of, we've been hearing about since late last night, 2 o'clock this morning, Israel let them declare a ceasefire again.
Yep.
Now that's something when you have the enemy attacks you, you defend yourself and you wait for them to tell you when you can have a ceasefire.
Yeah.
And it's like that old saying that we all hear a lot about and see more often than not these days, and that's that if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result, that's a pretty good definition of just stupid.
Yeah.
You know, and what Israel's getting ready to do, the same old stupid thing all over.
All over again.
And the rhetoric is going to be the same as all the other times as well. They're going to say, well, we hurt them really, really bad, and now they're going to have to be quiet for a few years. Well, if years go by pretty fast. Believe me, when you're my age, you realize how fast years go by. Well, these years go by pretty fast, so the 4 or 5 years they can build it up again. It's only 7 years since the last time.
Yep.
So now here we go again. There's just no end to it. So, but you know what, Joe? I've been thinking about it. I'm sure you have too. Israel really don't have much of a choice.
Right.
They don't have much. We don't want to take over Gaza. I mean, that's going to put half of our soldiers on the ground doing a police type occupation in Gaza. We give it to them so they can have their own place. Instead, they made it a terrorist base.
Yep.
Anyway,
and we still give them water and electricity and money and medical supplies. And so basically we were still, even though they wanted their own land there and govern themselves, we have to supply everything because they wouldn't use the money that they get for the public and for building a community the way it should be. Instead, they just take all the money they always get and buy and make war weapons. Right?
They've made a tremendous. And over the past 7 years, they have built they call it the metro.
Yeah. It's
like the subway system underneath of Gaza that they say for 100 miles. Now, I don't know how you can put 100 miles of tunnels underneath something size of Gaza. Right? Yeah. But Israel said they destroyed 100 miles of tunnels underneath of Gaza. Now, that's not along the border. That's not coming under the border. That's just the military base. They put everything underground, all their missiles manufacturing and all their soldiers and their bases are all underground. So Israel says, we've done that, so that's what they're going to do. They're going to brag about that. And Hamas is going to say, we fought the 8th or 9th largest, or whatever the standard is for the military on earth, and we won because we got what we wanted.
Yep.
We got what we wanted, but I think they lost, and they know they lost, but in a way they got what they wanted too.
Yeah.
Because they're fighting two different kind of wars.
Yeah.
They're more focused on the media.
Yeah. And they never thought they were going to win Israel and win in a way that we call win, where, there is no more Israel. They never thought that. So they did win what they wanted.
Oh, my. I got something I want to read, Joe.
Okay.
Now, it's not often you find a Jew in Israel wanting to read a quote from an Arab sheikh in Dubai. But this Arab sheikh wrote something that I think is really something. His name is Sheikh Rashid. And this is what he said. The founder of Dubai. He was the founder of Dubai. Sheikh Rashid was asked about the future of his country, and he replied, my grandchildren rode a camel. My father rode a camel. And I ride a Mercedes. My son rides a Land Rover. My grandson is going to ride a Land Rover, but my great-grandson's going to have to ride a camel. Why is that, he asked. And this reply was, hard times create strong men. Strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men. Weak men create difficult times. And many are not, will not understand it, but you have to raise warriors, not parasites. I thought to myself, that's really something. That wasn't the end of it. Let me go over here. And he added to that the historical reality of that great empires like Persia, Trojans, the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Romans, and in later years even the Germans who tried to conquer the world. But if you also he didn't add this. I'm going to add this in here for him. And all the ones that I just named, all ones before they went down, they turned against Israel too.
Yeah.
But the thing, what his point is, the British all rose and perished within 240 years. All these countries lasted around 240 years. Their empires. They're not conquered by external enemies. They rotted from within. America has now passed that 240-year mark, and the rot is starting to be visible and is escalating. We are past the Mercedes and the Land Rover years. The camels are on the horizon.
Sounds like a smart man.
I'm telling you, that's really exactly what's happening. But this kind of philosophy here goes way beyond just what's happening today and in the immediate future.
That's the bigger picture.
It's a bigger picture, and we're all headed in this direction.
Yep.
We're all headed in the direction. We're all going to start looking for a camel.
Got a few of them around here.
I'll tell you something. Now this is on the light side of things.
Okay. We need some of that.
Your mother. When I met your mother, people was asking me. I was an evangelist in America, traveled all around America. People asked me, "When are you going to get married?" And I told them, "Well, I read that Abraham prayed for his wife, and then Sarah just rode up on a camel, right?"
Yeah.
So I've been praying for one, and I haven't seen a camel. And it was a joke. It really was. This is a true story. It was a joke between me and my closer friend. And then one day, I met your mother at church in Bethany, in a Bethany church in Louisiana. Anyway, she really took my heart away. She just took. But when we got married, which was a very short period of time after I met her, by the way, I was in a hurry. And she said, "I got nothing." I said, "You have anything to bring?" She only brought one thing. It was a little leather, four-legged camel saddle. Now she didn't know the story. She didn't know the story, right?
Yeah.
So she showed up with the camel saddle. God has a way of putting that little snap of the divine.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yep.
He really does. We better get back to this.
No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, during this time, we had rockets that were shot at us from Syria and from Lebanon. We had from Lebanon also an attack on our border where a group tried to come through our borders and were successful, and they tried on Syria's side, but they weren't successful. So it just goes to show you how everything's all connected around here.
Yeah, but those missiles that come out of Lebanon, the military here don't believe Hamas fired those missiles. It's the Palestinian faction there in southern Lebanon who's trying to drag Hezbollah and Lebanon into this war.
Right.
And this was too smart for that.
Yeah.
Too smart for that.
Yeah, but still Lebanon.
Still Lebanon and
yeah.
Syria.
Yep.
Yeah.
Talking about something a little bit lighter. I talked about it before. I think a few days ago there was a house in Sderot. And Sderot is a pretty congested area. Houses are real close to each other, and there was this one neighborhood where, out of all the missiles that came through, there was 3 missiles that came through into this neighborhood, and they all hit the same house. It was the only house in the neighborhood where the family wasn't at home. They went to live with extended family up north. There you go.
That's all you can do in Israel. Say Baruch Hashem. Blessed be the name of the Lord.
Amen. Right? If that don't tell the story, I don't know what does.
That's it. Amen. That's really good. That's good. Another thing is that I read it several times. At about 20%, one-fifth, 1 out of every 5 rockets that they fired into Israel landed in Gaza. It was misfired.
Yeah,
they're not the highest. So we don't know how many. They don't care. They're hiding behind the civilians, or they'll kill the civilians or do anything they want to do. They have an agenda, and life means nothing to them.
Well, like a lot, that's the exact reason why they were out of electricity for so many days, because they shot their own by accident, their own electrical parts, and Israel never once turned off the electricity or water during this entire time. What other country do you know, while their people are shooting missiles at them, they're going to still supply them electricity and water and everything else?
And not only that, there are hospitals. Their ambulance, their Palestinian ambulance brings their wounded to the border. We pick them up with our ambulance, and we take them to the hospital. And when they get well, we bring them back to the border, and they get back in the other ambulance, and they go back in. So not only are we doing all the things that you just said, but we're taking care of the wounded too.
Yeah, everything. Yeah. And they want to say we're inhumane right now.
Yeah,
right? We're horrible people.
Yeah, they're shooting at our civilians and hiding behind their civilians.
Yeah.
Double war crime. And of course, the world is going crazy. I just read, and all around the world, it's kicking off.
Well, one thing is a few things we haven't talked about this week is some other things that's happened. There was another religious ceremony in a synagogue that happened in Israel where two rows of the bleachers in the back just collapsed while they were there. About 100 people fell. 2 people died, a 40-year-old and a 16-year-old.
It's sad. It's almost any comment you make about it, you're going to be called. You're going to be labeled some kind of way. So we all know the Haredim have a problem with this. So that's what we can say about it. I feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for the kids and the families.
I tell you what kind of just went over in the news during all this war is you remember when in the beaches of Gaza where we found when we caught them trying to launch a submarine into the water and we blew up the submarine.
This is a remote control submarine with a bomb,
full of
giant bomb.
Yeah. No one's talking about it. Now Gaza's got submarines.
Yeah, not only just submarines. The kind they don't even have to sacrifice one of their suicide bombers. It's all remote control.
It just like nonchalantly. Oh yeah, we got one of their submarines. What do you mean one of their submarines? Yeah. They got submarines?
Yeah. Well, we don't want one coming into the marina, right?
No, yeah, absolutely not.
Or alongside of us when we're out at sea.
Yeah, well, while I was doing all the reporting I was doing, sometimes I had to stay at the boat. One night when I stayed there, the security came around and tried to act like I couldn't stay on the boat because of the war and the submarine stuff. They said I couldn't stay on the boat, but that's crazy. They have submarines now. Yeah. Another thing is with the ceasefire is they say this time is different, but like you said, it's always the same rhetoric, and I hope they mean it this time. If there's any rocket, anything shot, even a balloon, they're terrorist balloon things now. They're going to respond with a real strong attack, not like they have been for the past 20 years. If they do that, that would fix the problem.
That's the big if.
Yeah.
That's the big if.
That's the big if.
If I remember the same rhetoric, while you were just saying that, I can remember that same statements being made a couple other times, and they broke their promise every time.
Yeah.
And when then we started trickling a few missiles here and a few bombs there and back and forth, get tick for tack. It's really something. One of the things, this is what I was getting ready to talk about just a little while ago. In America now, and all over Europe, everywhere, anti-Semitism is on a tremendous incline. It's unbelievable.
Yes.
They're having to have police protection in many cities, even in America right now, for Jewish homes and places. It's really a sad thing. I just watched on the Fox News where they was running around with a microphone hollering, "Who is a Jew? Who is a Jew?" Looking for who is a Jew, so they could persecute or kill the Jews. Right. This is in Los Angeles, by the way. And of course, many other cities are doing the same thing. And that's what we're seeing right here.
Yep.
In Israel, we're seeing it's just absolutely unbelievable, the anti-Semitism all over the Judea and Samaria, what they refer to as the West Bank. They've gone completely crazy.
Yep.
Now we don't see if this ceasefire is going to stop them from doing that or not.
Absolutely not. That's a whole different thing, and that is the big problem right now.
Yeah, and they're under the same authority. Hamas is controlling them too. So if Hamas says, "Okay, we'll hold our fire here," but then send all the riots into all of our cities, that's their kind of way. They call it, by the way, they don't call it a ceasefire. They call it a hudna.
Yeah.
Hudna is an Arabic word that says we'll stop for now until we rebuild our forces, and then we'll fight again.
Yep. Yeah. when you look back in history, like before the Holocaust in the 30s, right, and you see how anti-Semitism was growing, and the Jewish people stayed where they were at. I always look back at that and think, why would they stay there? What's wrong with those people? Why wouldn't they have left at that point? You know, it's just the little things that you think about sometimes. But now we're living it again. Like you just said, in America, in Europe, everywhere. I can't understand a Jew who would stay there and not come home. I can't understand it.
And as far as this ministry is concerned, what's happening in Europe, all over Europe right now, France and Germany and all over Europe, we need to be ready for our boats. And I know if you read my website, you know we're in big trouble financially, really big trouble financially. We need, not only do we need a much larger boat, but we need finances for what we do have in order to have the logistics and the people, the provisions and the fuel and all the contacts and all the stuff that it takes. None of that's done for free. It takes a little bit of money, and for some reason over the past year, our finances have really went into a slump. I think we blame it on COVID-19, but I think it's a spiritual attack on this ministry and many other ministries. Yep. And we can't allow the devil to have that victory right now. And in case you haven't read it in the Bible, the basic instructions before leaving Earth, God's really fond of Israel and the Jewish people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, it's definitely spiritual. I mean, look at your friend Mike Evans, right? 75 million followers, and Facebook shut him down.
Just shut him down.
Largest Israeli supporting Facebook page, shut him down.
Yeah, the Jerusalem prayer team. It's huge, millions of people on his list.
Also, Jordan, this week also is now threatening not to keep up with their peace treaty with us now because of everything that's happening here in Gaza, which is crazy. I mean, it's you can see it all coming down.
Oh my! Yeah, here's something I want to tell you. This has got not much to do with Israel or anything else. It's about India. I'm watching what's happening in India. India is a friend to Israel, by the way, and we need to pray for India. They're dying by the tens of thousands. They're literally dying by the tens of thousands from COVID-19. And on top of that, now they got floods and horrible hurricane, or they call them a typhoon, hitting them right now as I talk to you. A typhoon is hitting India with all that other death. Everywhere you look, you see fires. They burn all their dead. Yeah. Everywhere you look around India, there's bonfires all over the place, people burning their dead. The whole world needs to be prayed for.
Absolutely.
But I just like to mention India.
Yeah. Talking about Jordan, we let a big bunch of truckloads of medical supplies and stuff from Jordan into the borders, from Jordan across the country into the border of Gaza, right? Did you hear about how Gaza, when the truckload from Jordan coming to their own help, they with mortars and rockets, they shot at them.
These are people they must not be too smart. Something's wrong. It's either the spiritual blindness has made them so they can't face just normal common sense and reality and what's moral and dignity and respect for others. They just don't have any of that. It's just they've just washed it all away. It's gone. It sounds a whole lot like the Democrats in America. Yeah. Oh man, I don't want to get started on that.
Here we go.
I'll mention this. I will say this though. If Biden is not slowed down and stopped some kind of way, and I don't know if you can wait for 2 years for the midterm election or not, but the damage he's already done, compared that to what he might be able to do in 2 years. Yeah. I don't even believe you put Trump back in to fix that mess.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, talking about Biden, the deal he's making with Iran. While he's trying to make a deal with Iran, during these last week, Iran sent a drone, armed drone, over to Israel. We were just, with our technology and stuff, being able to take it down. But that's the first step of Iran since actively flying something over our airspace and trying to start something.
And I read where Biden has just sent him a few $1 billion again. What for? So they could buy more weapons to fight Israel, or what is he sending the money for? I mean, they're supposed to be on the bad list, right? Yeah. I don't understand it. I know there's something really sad. The fact that he's president just blows my mind. I don't see how anyone in America can accept what happened at that election. And now it's take one look at the first 400 days of him, and then if you're not missing Trump by now, you never will.
Oh yeah. Well, talking politics, we can go right back to politics here. One thing that happened with this little war we've had is Gideon Sa'ar and Bennett look like they might start headed. But Bennett's already back to the right wing, but Gideon Sa'ar's, you can see, is getting things ready to go that way.
Yeah. You know, me and this guy here, we've been having a little debate between us on this Bennett thing. I go back and forth because I listen to you. And I think he's telling me the truth all the time.
I hope so.
And so I'm listening. You know, Bennett. He goes for he promotes the homosexuality and all blah blah blah. And I don't see that. I watch it and listen. I've been listening to his speeches for the last 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
Man, I think the guy would be a great prime minister. And I think he's been trying to just play games, trying to figure out how to get elected.
Yeah.
Politics is dirty business, really dirty business.
Yeah, but what you listen to is in English. The guy is running for politics in Israel in Hebrew, and what I'm listening to is in Hebrew. That's a big difference.
Yeah, we got to see. I hope he can avoid another election. Then I don't even know how the law goes on this. The president has to give the mandate. Now he's already given the mandate twice, and I don't think he's supposed to do it more than that twice.
Yeah, no. Now it has to be an election.
Now there has to be an election.
The fifth one, yeah.
So they can't avoid an election.
They can't avoid an election, which might just be a good thing, because usually after an excursion like this, a little war we just had, usually brings a lot of people back to the right.
Yeah, well, I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. Just yesterday, Hamas shot at a bus. Now there's. At the border of Gaza, the army brings busloads of soldiers to change over and everything. And there's a bus with 30 soldiers, but that bus has a certain way it goes where from Gaza they can't really see it. The bus driver just let the soldiers off, and to go and turn around, he went outside of the lines he's supposed to, which put it in sight of the Hamas, and they immediately shot it with an anti-tank missile, which is just 30 seconds after he dropped off the 30 soldiers that was in it.
Yeah, the bus was empty except for the driver, and he was hit sort of in the back of the bus. But there was one soldier that was close by that did get wounded.
Yeah, we did. Well, like you said, we're at the ceasefire. Last night at 10:09, the Security Cabinet decided to go for a ceasefire at 2 o'clock this morning. And recently, we was talking about it, how Hamas tried to add into the deal of a ceasefire that they were going to be able to shoot a whole bunch of rockets at us right before it's over, right?
Yeah.
It's insane. First of all, they've always done that. Right before a ceasefire, because that's how they come out, like you were saying earlier, thinking they won. And that's how they grow faster and stronger after the war, because it gets morale up,
And then when you consider the fact that all their television and that they watch, they control it. They control what the people get.
Oh,
they
yeah.
Control their information. So they're not hearing things like what we're talking about now. That the Palestinian Arabs, they're just not hearing about it. They don't know what's going on in all the world.
Yep.
And so that gives them the power over the people.
Right.
It keeps so here we can get ready to go do another war.
Get more new soldiers in after all the other ones that are gone. Well, that'll be it for this week. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to join us on thegoldenreport.com.
Shabbat Shalom from Israel.